On my chipbox, man. I got this, yeah. Can't be touched, can't be stopped, can't be moved, can't be rocked, can't be shook. We high. When will you niggas know? Came to get crunk, came to bring life, came to get started, came to get right. Turn down the music, turn up my mic. When will you niggas know? I mean what I speak, I do as I say. I hustle, I grind, don't get in my way. Pimping my hole, jacking my foes. Bad police, duck my POs. I ain't going to court. You can call the judge, tell him kiss my ass, cause I ain't gon' bug. And I ain't going back to lock up. You're trying to clock a pop up. I ain't going back to book, and I'm never gonna stop the buffing. Not for nothing. The block they need me, the streets they need me. The club scene, nigga, is mine, believe me. You don't believe me? Can't be touched, can't be stopped, can't be moved, can't be rocked, can't be shook. We high. When will you niggas know? Came to get crunk, came to bring life, came to get started, came to get right. Turn down the music, turn up my mic. When will you niggas know? Open your hearts for me, look what I got for you. You in the presence of greatness, I make it hot for you. Pass the rock to me, block it, I run with it. Here for the game and all the pussy that come with it. So full of focus, I'm insisting on keeping it going. The franchise, I exist in the league of my own. Expect attention, I'm familiar with being ignored. The true rap king is locking and closing the door. Brick wall in the road, I won't move. The king, I'm like Roy in the ring, I can't lose. Show the face of what compare to man. You wanna walk? Motherfucker, ain't hard to find. I holler back, nigga. Can't be touched, can't be stopped, can't be moved, can't be rocked, can't be shook. We high. When will you niggas know? Came to get crunk, came to bring life, came to get started, came to get right. Turn down the music, turn up my mic. When will you I move when my heart say move. Feels like a lion, got nothing to prove. Stepping up a hot damn mule. God in my corner, nigga can't lose. Try to get me out my hot damn shoes. See how quick I drop up and get you bitches the blues. They gon' see you on a hot damn move. And I ain't even nothing. Nigga me to the crime, not a print, not a hot damn cool. Beating these niggas down is what I came to do. And I ain't playing by a hot damn rule. Taking you niggas down if you ain't paying your dues. We passing up your block and ooh. My screws are loose. Don't call my hand, cause you gon' make me act a hot damn fool. Dead discussion, you will not win, cause I will not lose. Can't be touched, can't be stopped, can't be moved, can't be rocked, can't be shook. We high. When will you niggas know? Came to get crunk, came to bring life, came to get started, came to get right. Turn down the music, turn up my mic. When will you niggas know? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What is going on? What's going on, everybody? What's going on? Damn, what the fuck is up with this lighting? Figure out this lighting situation here. All right. What's going on, everybody? So, let's see here. See if that, that shit ain't gonna help. But we gonna have to roll with that. What's going on? So, no further ado. How's everybody doing today? How is everyone doing today? I want to talk about what's pressing here, which is this story about Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson is he's a hell of a football player. He's a quarterback for the Houston Texans, and I think that right now he's getting an unfair shake. Let's see something here. So for those of y'all who don't know who Deshaun Watson is,
let's let's see if we could. Yeah, let's go ahead and show you guys a little bit of who Deshaun Watson is. So, with no further ado, let's give me 1 second. Let's go ahead and clear that up. Cue this up.
They pass on Deshaun Watson. They're passing on Michael Jordan.
Hold on a minute. The Texans just traded up with the Cleveland Browns.
With the 12th pick in the 2017 NFL Draft, the Houston Texans select Deshaun Watson.
What's your chief knock against Watson as an NFL quarterback?
Well, I think the preciseness and the accuracy throwing the football, and we don't know how tall he is. Is he 6'2" legit? Is he 6'1" and
The
change?
Houston Texans are in panic mode. 25th to 12th for Deshaun Watson. Panic mode. They're chasing their tail. They have no idea what they're doing at quarterback. If I were a Texans fan, as I've said before, I would consider suing the franchise for fraud.
When will we see Watson play for the Texans?
Putting him in there too soon, putting him under the gun, understanding the system that he's playing for, the expectations. Since 2014, 8 different quarterbacks have thrown the football for the Houston Texans under Bill O'Brien.
And one of those wideouts that you just brought up, DeAndre Hopkins, said just before the season started that he was on Team Savage. He wanted Tom Savage to be the starter for the Houston Texans.
It's going to be the rookie, Deshaun Watson, who will replace Tom Savage to start the second half. Watson keeps it, throws it, caught, touchdown, DeAndre Hopkins. Watson protected, escaping,
Escape for the only touchdown of the game, a 49-yard broken field run, and it was a thing of beauty. He let Geno Atkins, if you could see that, he just blasted right in the face.
Geno Atkins, and that'll wipe all the confidence off. Timeout, Texans. We have to change based on what he can do. Watch it. Strong throw to the end zone. Watson steps and throws to the end zone. Hauled in by Griffin. Touchdown. Texans. After the run. Texans number 7 running the ball. Second goal. Touchdown. Hopkins.
Back every year,
Second and 6.
And Deshaun Watson is going to make him miss the punt.
As y'all can see, Deshaun Watson was on the football field and he was making these guys look silly. Okay. Now let's really talk about it. The NFL, the quarterback is a position to be covering it. And what has happened is that over the last 5 to 7 years, you have seen pretty much all of the white quarterbacks in the league. They are starting to pretty much. I don't want to use the term die off, but the white quarterback is starting to become a thing of the past. Traditionally, they have not liked black quarterbacks. Okay, the black quarterback has not been the thing that has been heralded throughout the history of the NFL. From you had Aaron Brooks, you had Cordell Stewart, who played for the Pittsburgh Steelers, my favorite team. You had Donovan McNabb. You had several black quarterbacks who really did not get their just due. Randall Cunningham, and the mark was always that they can't win the big game. Well, in recent years, you had Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson. You had Deshaun Watson come into the league. You have black quarterbacks all throughout the NFL who are starting to come up, and it's more and more of them. And so it's only so long that you are going to have these white quarterbacks that are unathletic, that can't really move, that they have to shift and contour the rules of the NFL for, as they have done and as they do for Tom Brady. It's only so long that they're going to be able to keep these type of guys in the league. Now, with Deshaun Watson has had a slew and a litany of allegations placed on him in the recent weeks. And so let's kind of go to some of these allegations that are on Deshaun Watson. Okay, so all right. Now we're going to go here, and we're only going to look at a snippet of it, and we're going to get back to the meat and potatoes of this.
As expected, the National Football League investigating Deshaun Watson in the aftermath of multiple lawsuits filed alleging assault during massage encounters. Attorney Tony Busby posting on social media the letter clearly marked confidential by Lisa Friel of the league office, explaining that, number one, the investigation is launched, and number two, they would like the alleged victims to cooperate with the investigation. That's one of the great flaws and weaknesses of the NFL's in-house investigative process, Miles. There's no way they can compel anyone to cooperate. And the fact that the letter was placed on social media by Busby, who has been very, very active on Instagram with his involvement in these cases, I suspect that he will encourage his clients to cooperate with the National Football League, unless, of course, there's a settlement. I don't know if it's too late for that, but if there's a settlement with an agreement to not talk about it, which is perfectly legitimate, it happens all the time, there's confidentiality provisions in settlements, there'd be no power for the NFL to talk to these people. There'd be nothing the NFL could do to Deshaun Watson. And with 9 now that are signed up by Tony Busby, and Busby has said that 7 lawsuits have been filed. We've seen 3 of them. There's going to be a press conference today. They all flow from these allegations of some level or degree of misconduct. And there are varying levels and degrees of alleged misconduct during private massage sessions. And Miles, as Sims and I were saying yesterday, the takeaway for every other professional athlete or anyone who has any assets that could be at risk, do not put yourself in these positions where it ultimately could be your word against someone else's word with no witnesses and no way to prove
now
your word.
Pretty much, you see that Deshaun Watson has a slew of these allegations piling up on him for alleged sexual encounters in massage parlors. Now, the owner of the New England Patriots, Robert Kraft, he got into the same or similar accusations about a year ago. I mean, maybe within the last 2 years. Robert Kraft was not paying for sexual assault. As a matter of fact, the NFL went ahead and they swept all of these things under the rug. They still allow him to maintain primary ownership over the New England Patriots, even though he had a cloud of disgrace over his head. Now, these problems with Deshaun Watson come because the Houston Texans are a racist organization. Okay? They're a racist organization. And they're so racist to the point to where they had an owner whose name was Bob McNair, who made a comment, and he said that in referring to his football team and his football players as inmates in a prison. And when the black players wanted to stand up for themselves, they wanted to stand behind Colin Kaepernick. This was about 5 or 6 years ago when we were in the height of the Colin Kaepernick thing. He said, we cannot let the inmates run the asylum, right? And so let's listen to some Let's listen to one of the owners of the Atlanta Falcons. Let's listen to what his remarks was, or how he felt about what the owner of the Houston Texans, he is now passed, but the owner at the time for the Houston Texans, Bob McNair. Let's listen to what the Atlanta Falcons owner had to say about him.
The owner of the Houston Texans is apologizing after his comments about the ongoing protests of NFL players during the national anthem. During a meeting between players and owners last week, Bob McNair said if the league didn't stop the protests, it would be like, quote, inmates running the prison.
The issue came up when our Dana Jacobson sat down to discuss the Atlanta Falcons' new stadium and community redevelopment plan with owner Arthur Blank for a future story on CBS This Morning.
I was there when Bob made that comment. In defense of it, Bob is one of the brightest, fair-minded, most concerned owners in the NFL.
Atlanta Falcons owner Arthur Blank has called for unity in the face of player protests during the national anthem. On Friday, Blank said Texans owner Bob McNair realized he made a poor choice of words in saying the inmates were running the prison.
Given the issues and all the sensitivities around it, I think others heard it differently in the room and responded that way. But Bob, like most people that are thoughtful and sensitive and caring, which he is, he recognized poor choice of words in that context when we not defend it.
Blank says McNair immediately tried to smooth things over with NFL Vice President and former player Troy Vincent. After ESPN first reported McNair's comments, he issued a written apology, reading in part, "I used a figure of speech that was never intended to be taken literally. I would never characterize our players or our league that way." Despite the apology, some NFL players reacted harshly to McNair's comments. At least 10 Texans considered a walkout from practice in protest.
This is the view of player-owner relationship. This is how you view us. You get out of line. You're an inmate.
The anthem protest started last year when then San Francisco quarterback Colin Kaepernick refused to stand. They were brought back into the national discussion last month when President Trump said players who don't stand should be fired. Blank says the president's comments did not help an already sensitive situation.
Some, kerosene thrown on fire from a white building. And you end up, with players, really responding to that in a very negative way.
Blank added he understands.
So with this being here, you see that there has been an air of dissension in the Houston Texans locker room since at least 2016, when the owner, Bob McNair, who again has since passed away, now his son is running the team. You see that they have this cloud of racism that pretty much follows them. Deshaun Watson wanted to get out of the Houston Texans organization. The reason that he wanted to get out of the Houston Texans organization is because they had a coach. They had a long-time coach. This coach's name, let's see. His name was, what is the guy's name? Let's see. Bill O'Brien. Okay, I'm sorry. Bill O'Brien was the Houston Texans former coach. Okay, let me get a picture of him up here. Bill O'Brien was the Houston Texans former coach. All right. And here's a picture of Bill O'Brien for those of y'all who looking for him. Bill O'Brien was the Houston Texans former coach. Now, this guy came in from the New England Patriots, and pretty much what we have is we had a long string of things that happened in the NFL where people come from the Patriots. The Patriots have won Super Bowls. A lot of their Super Bowls have airs of cheating, scandals, all types of blown calls, deflate gate. It's all types of asterisks by the New England Patriots. But if you come out of the Bill Belichick coaching tree, then you're as good as gold in the NFL. This was another guy here who was relatively unqualified for the job. However, he was given a job with the Houston Texans after coaching under Bill Belichick in New England. He completely screwed and fucked the franchise up. This guy traded away his best offensive tackle for nothing. He got rid of the best wide receiver in the NFL at the time, DeAndre Hopkins, and traded him away for a pack of peanuts and a cigarette lighter, and got nothing in return. Dude got a third string running back at best that rarely ever fucking played. So he fucked a lot of people's careers up. The Houston Texans finally got fed up with him. They fired him halfway through the past NFL season. They had to fire him because he was also the GM and the head coach. When they got rid of him, they hired a firm. The firm that they hired recommended that they go and hire a minority candidate. They was going to either hire an Indian guy or they was going to hire this guy by the name of Louis Riddick. And some of y'all guys may know who Louis Riddick is. If not, let me show you guys who Louis Riddick is. Okay, so this is Louis Riddick for everybody who has an inquiring mind and wants to know. All right. So let's see, here you go. This is Louis Riddick. Okay. Now, when they fired Bill O'Brien as the head coach / GM because he was trading away all of the best players and not getting anything back in return. Now, they hired a firm who told them who was the best candidate for their team. Okay? When they hired a candidate who told them who was the best person for their team, they chose this guy as being the best match for the job. Instead of hiring this guy who was the best match for the job, a firm who they paid millions of dollars for, they totally went away and they went against that. Who did they hire instead? I'll show you who they hired instead. Give me 1 second. This is who they hired instead. Mr. Big Nose here, Nick Caserio. Another white guy who comes from where? New England. Now, these candidates that come from New England are unqualified. everybody who comes from his head coaching tree, once they leave from under Bill Belichick, they don't go on and do anything. Why? Because you don't have the racism there to carry you anymore. You don't have the racism to carry you. You don't have the racism to shield you. You don't have the cheating politics. You don't have the clout. You don't have the autocracy and the meritocracy to hold you over. Tom Brady is heralded as being the greatest quarterback in NFL history. And I will jump out on faith here, and I will say that is even an asterisk. Okay? Anybody who cheats their way to 3 Super Bowls and also has the power of the NFL saying that, hey, we got to keep this guy healthy. We got to keep this guy on the field. This guy's the face of the NFL. Then that person is going to be deemed as good. Now, if somebody slices Tom Brady's fingernails, then it's an unnecessary roughness call. It's 15-yard penalty, and a lot of times that determines the game. And what happens is we don't know how great Tom Brady actually is because the defensive players are so unmotivated and discouraged to even play football against this man because it's not a fair game when I'm going up against him. The refs are going to call it in his favor. If you tie his shoestrings the wrong way, they will give you a 15-yard penalty when it comes to Tom Brady. So none of the coaches or the front office people who come from New England paying out to be shit because they don't have the system behind them to push them anymore. And we're seeing that when they are left to their own devices and they don't have the machine behind them, then you see how human they actually are. Now, with Deshaun Watson, when Deshaun Watson saw this guy here get hired, he said, no, I want to trade. I want out of here because you guys did not put me in the most advantageous position to win. And I do not want to squander my good health and my NFL career while you guys are playing the good old boy game. He did not want to be left out to dry while they were playing the good old boy game. Can we blame him? This guy's unqualified. When he said that I want to be traded out of Houston, out of nowhere, we see a string of allegations about him having sexual misconduct with ladies coming out and about. Now, many of you guys saw the thumbnail, and many people were here initially because of the thumbnail where I put T.I., I put Bill Cosby, I put R. Kelly, and Deshaun Watson up here. And I know that you guys are waiting to hear the string that ties all of them together. Well, here's the string. In today's day and time, we'll send a common thread where this guy, this player, Deshaun Watson, came from a racist organization. And the moment that the slave wanted to get out of the plantation, they put a lawsuit on him to say that he raped somebody because he wanted to get off of the plantation. Now, I'm going somewhere with this. I'm going somewhere with this. I lost some of y'all. My bad. Martin Luther King said, and I tried to find a quote just a second ago, but Martin Luther King said that once a slave starts to change his mind, that's the beginning of freedom. Once a slave begins to change his thinking, that's the beginning of freedom. Deshaun Watson started to change his mind. That was the beginning of his freedom. Now, his last coach, who was fired, part of the reason why he was fired is because he let $120 million receiver go for a bag of peanuts. And the straw that broke the camel's back was this man telling him that you got too many baby mamas. You got too many baby mamas. He was trying to tell him how to live his life. And he went so far to say that you remind me a lot of Aaron Hernandez. Now, Aaron Hernandez was a tight end who played for the New England Patriots, who hung himself in prison because he went to jail and was convicted of murder, of killing his best friend. He got convicted of murder for killing a good friend of his. And he told Deshaun Watson, you remind me of the murderer that hung himself in prison. With your baby mamas and your philandering and all of that. These are young men. These are all relatively young men. He told a 26-year-old that you being 26 reminds me of this guy. You being a black 26-year-old reminds me of this guy who murdered his best friend. That's what caused the situation. They failed to put him in a position which was advantageous for his health. And the guy said, you know what? I've seen enough. I'm ready to move on to greener pastures. Then they put a case on him to try to keep a slave in bondage. Deshaun Watson didn't rape anybody. The lawsuits are lies. The women are lying. The stories are concocted, embellished. And if any of this stuff that they were saying about Deshaun Watson was true, I got one question. What's going on, Larry? if anything that they were saying about Deshaun Watson was true, why did this only become a problem when he said that I want off of the plantation? I no longer want to live on the plantation. I no longer want to be on a plantation. That's the only time that anything he was doing became a problem. They said that he forced the women into oral sex. As long as I've been living, I ain't never, ever, ever seen a man force a woman to suck his dick. Period. I ain't never seen it throughout the history of my life. I've never seen a man force a woman to suck his dick. Have y'all seen it? Chuck Mangione. Disgusting content, so misinformed. What am I misinformed about? Again, what am I misinformed about? Being on a plantation. If you don't have the right to choose whether or not what you can speak on, whether or not you want to work with somebody, whether or not you will find with the terms of agreement, that is enslavement. That is bondage. Chuck Mangione, whatever the fuck your name is. When the owner of your team refers to you as inmates in an asylum, the 13th Amendment teaches us that slavery is illegal unless you are imprisoned. God damn it. To go on, motherfucker. It also says that the owner, the father of the current owner, said that these are the inmates in the asylum. If the 13th Amendment teaches us that an inmate is a slave, and the owner of the Houston Texans referred to them as inmates, motherfucker, you a slave. Shut the fuck up. The fuck? He signed a contract. But guess what? You can't sign a contract that puts you in danger. Nobody can force you to do something that's placing yourself in danger. So if you are playing for a goddamn franchise that then traded away all of their offensive linemen, you've been the most sacked quarterback, the most beat up quarterback. The fact that you had a head coach and a GM that gave you a bullshit line that snapped your fucking ACL, and they have not put you in a position to be prosperous, then what? Anyway, we ain't going to talk about this motherfucker. Moving on. What we see is anytime, whether it's R. Kelly, whether it's Bill Cosby, whether it's T.I., anytime a black man says no, you are an enemy of the state. The word no makes you an enemy of the state. Dig that. if the moment that you stand up as a man and say, I choose not to do this anymore, is the moment that you begin to be torn down. Bill Cosby was sitting on land in the state of Massachusetts that they wanted to sell. They wanted rights to his land. He told them no. All of a sudden, 40-year-old allegations started popping up. And he had to stand like a man, stand strong over bullshit allegations. Anytime that he want to stand like a man, it's a problem. What say you, man? What say you? Or Kelly stood up like a man to the music industry, and he said, I've outlasted y'all. I've been relevant for 30 years. I want my masters. The moment that R. Kelly went to ask for his masters, he went to ask for his publishing, he all of a sudden started getting death threats. He started getting all these accusations. Many of them are over 25 years old. T.I. moved away from being a gangster rapper to an ambassador. He started to rebrand his image, and now he got hit with sexual assault allegations. Because the moment that somebody moves towards empowerment, then it becomes a problem. What say you? How do y'all feel about it? Go ahead and chime in. Call-in number is 573-990-710. Call in, speak on it. If you got a voice, let your voice be heard. Yeah, I agree with Scott Leonard. Yeah, the narrative would be different if he was white. But had he have been a white quarterback, this would not have been an issue. If he would have been a white quarterback, they would have treated him fairly from day one. I mean, how long has Tom Brady been considered how long has what's his name? Matt Ryan been considered to be a great quarterback, despite not being deserving of the title. Matt Ryan has rolled a career in the NFL out off of the dust of Michael Vick. He was never amazing coming out of Boston College. He had 1 year where he was an MVP, and the team was loaded that year. But Matt Ryan is not even the top 50 greatest quarterbacks. He's not even top 10 great quarterbacks in the league. Matthew Stafford is a better quarterback than Matt Ryan. That's just facts. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger, my beloved Pittsburgh Steelers, will not let Ben Roethlisberger old ass go. And he got several rape allegations that they swept under the rug. They never suspended him, allowed him to play in the NFL when he was out here raping women. One second, Chuck. This is for Chuck Maggio.
Back in March, a college student claimed that Roethlisberger assaulted her in a Georgia bar. The charges were later dropped, and now for the first time, we are hearing from his accuser and videotapes made during police interviews with her the day after that incident. This newly released cell phone video shows Ben Roethlisberger the night of the alleged sexual assault buying shots for the group of young women he had just met. He and his 20-year-old accuser posed together, smiling.
So we took pictures with him. He seemed really nice at first.
But later that night, she and her friends ran into the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback again at another club. According to her, this time things took an ugly turn.
One of his bodyguards came and didn't grab my arm, but was like, "Hey, come here." Took me to this back hallway.
The woman, who admitted later she was drunk, says the 6'5", 240-pound Roethlisberger came into the hallway, exposing himself, and then forced himself on her in this bathroom.
He followed me in and shut the door. That's when he proceeded. I was texting me, and the whole time I said, "No, we really don't need to do this. This isn't okay. We shouldn't be doing this." Then he just got up and left.
She said she was afraid to fight back because she had noticed that Roethlisberger had what she called a short temper.
I didn't want to fight him, but the whole time I was like, "This isn't okay. No, we don't need to do this." He said it is okay.
But criminal charges against Roethlisberger were dismissed after the woman refused to cooperate to avoid what her lawyer called a very intrusive personal experience.
The victim in this case is critical. There would be no way to be able to prove this case without the victim's cooperation.
The National Football League suspended Roethlisberger for 6 games. He rejoined the Steelers for preseason practice just last week. Last night, in one of his first one-on-one interviews since the rape case on WTAE in Pittsburgh, he apologized to his fans in very general language for his off-the-field behavior.
I've wanted to apologize to them for so many things, for being immature, for being dumb, for being young, for not knowing any better, for getting caught up with everything that was thrown my way.
And Roethlisberger is still facing another sexual assault charge and a civil suit by a Las Vegas woman. The Steelers quarterback had been hoping to have his 6-game suspension reduced. That is now very unlikely with the release of the tapes that very graphically describe the Georgia woman's version of what happened in the bar that night.
Why are these tapes released since prosecutors have declined to prosecute them?
Well, Georgia is one of the few states where the evidence, even including the interviews, the videotape interviews, are released so the public can decide whether the system worked and did the right thing.
Very interesting. Ron Claiborne, thanks so much.
Chuck Mangione.
Antonio Brown and Ben Roethlisberger.
Did you hear the end of that where they said that this was one and it was a second civil suit for the same shit? One is in Georgia, one is in Vegas. I mean, one woman versus 20. Come on, man. Come on. I think this guy hates whites, brought up Matt Ryan and Tom Brady, didn't say one thing, didn't have one positive thing to say about it either. I mean, come on, man. Let's really look at this. Let's really look at this. Aaron bleeping Rodgers is thought to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Only has one Super Bowl. Guess who else has one Super Bowl? Aaron Rodgers is supposed to be the second best quarterback in the NFL behind Tom Brady. Patrick Mahomes has one Super Bowl. Russell Wilson has one Super Bowl. Drew Brees had one Super Bowl. How many people got one Super Bowl in the NFL? Joe Flacco got one Super Bowl. Where's the separation? Matt Ryan made it to a Super Bowl. How is Matt Ryan thought to be a better quarterback than Cam Newton when Cam Newton made it to one Super Bowl? But y'all don't see a disparity here? Y'all don't see a difference? Y'all don't see a discrepancy here? Hell up out of here. Tom Brady is not the greatest ever. I'm sorry, he's not. Once you modify the rules, Nick Foles got one Super Bowl. Thanks, Scott. Once you modify the rules of the NFL to accommodate one player, you throw off the hierarchy and the balance of the NFL. Let me show you what Tom Brady built his legacy on. This is the play that Tom Brady built his entire legacy on.
42. Blitz. Lost the football. It's on the ground. Covered by the Raiders.
His college teammate, Charles Woodson, on the blitz. Tom Brady never sees him coming from the front side. Greg Beekert recovers the fumble. Charles Woodson, first time today I've seen him come on a blitz.
Oh. The question is, did he pull it down? His arm was going forward, but was he throwing a football?
Well, the exact term I can't think of, but if you throw a pass, and as you're faking that pass, now watch, as you're faking the pass, if it slipped out of your hand, that would be an incomplete pass. But was it forced out by Charles Woodson? I don't think the recoil of the fake throw is what made it come out of Tom Brady's hand.
That was a fumble. that built Tom Brady's entire career was a fumble. The first Super Bowl was won after this play. How can I listen to all of the fans, to all of the listeners, everybody who subscribed to this channel? I have to hate white people because I tell the truth about them. I tell the truth about white quarterbacks. Come on, man. Can y'all be real? Can y'all be serious? How long did Phillip Rivers sit in San Diego, didn't win shit? A Hall of Fame running back, Hall of Fame tight end, 2 6'5", 6'6" wide receivers. Sean Merriman was on an edge rush. Junior Seau, Hall of Famer, played on the opposite side of the ball. Norv Turner, a historic coach, and then win one Super Bowl. Didn't win not one Super Bowl. And this isn't during the time when the AFC West was a good conference. Hell, you had Jake Plummer. What's the boy? He went to Chicago. Came out of Vanderbilt. Jay Cutler. Come on, man. He was playing bums in the AFC West. The Raiders were over with. You couldn't win a Super Bowl in that weak ass division. Get up out of here. Tell the truth about black people. Tell the truth about black people. Shit, hell, I don't care what you say. These people are bums. They get unfair praise, unwarranted praise for being average. Unfair and unwarranted praise for being average. That's it. And I didn't say anything positive about Aaron or Joe. Joe Flacco does not have Hall of Fame numbers. How many all-time great? Hold on. This dude then completely went somewhere else. But how many all-time great players played on the Ravens defense? Ed Reed, Hall of Famer. Terrell Suggs, future Hall of Famer. Ray Lewis, Hall of Famer. Haloti Ngata, Hall of Famer. Boyd Scott, great player. Who else played over there? Shit, Dominique Foxworth. Want to say Rob Woodson played for the Ravens. How many all-time great players played for the Ravens defense? Why do blacks have the highest single parenthood rate in the U.S.? The reason why black people have the highest single parenthood rate in the U.S. is because black men are unfairly marginalized. Black men represent 40% of the total prison population, despite being 13% of the population. Black folks do not get land-based grants. America has never repaid the black community reparations for all of the land that was stole to them, all of the riches in America that was gained by not paying slave labor, that gave the U.S. an advantage in the world economy because they did not have to pay a labor market. And so with that being said, the reason why blacks have the highest single parenthood rate is because after World War II in the 1950s and 60s, black people were incentivized, Chuck Magion, black people were incentivized to remove the black male from the household. This is not what Trent is saying. No. I'm gonna tell you who said it. Daniel Patrick Moynihan. The same economic handouts that white folks got, America did not provide their handout to black people. These are not Trent's words. These are Daniel Patrick Moynihan's words in a 1965 report that said that by removing the black father from the household in order to receive public assistance, the same public assistance that went to build white America, that went to finance the mortgages that built the suburbs of white America, that same money was not reinvested into the black areas for the black people to have an economic base. Over the last 60 years, things have begun to splinter off. Well, I'm here to speak knowledge to power. I'm here to speak knowledge to power. Again, the phone lines are open. Anybody who wants to call in, Chuck Magion, if you want to call in, go ahead and call in. Go ahead, call on in, Chuck-a-luck. Luchusky. All right, it don't look like Chuck gonna call in. He's an internet troll. So, listen. Those of y'all who have been here with me for a while, y'all know how we get down. Y'all know when we leave, we got to take them to the bridge. So if y'all support the broadcast, if y'all support the channel, go ahead and hit the cash app. $ Trent's Building Fund. I can be reached on all major social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, email, you name it. I got it. Twitter, opinionator on Twitter. Until the next episode, I'm going to take y'all on to the bridge because we got the victory. All right.
Jesus took the rain away. I just can't keep it to myself.